Hi everyone, this is my third video about my electric e-bike, Lectric XP. First video is just unboxing and the error message I made. The second one is about the setting adjustment. Now as you can see, I've ridden this bike for about 60 miles. This is some of the tips, the things I learned from this bike. I just want to share with everyone. Before we go on, just want to show you what some of the accessory I made to the bike. This is a phone clamp. You can tighten this thing, then this will hook up the phone. It's very stable. It can be the GPS. One thing I noticed is the speed here showing the LCD display is not the same as the speed showing on the phone. Assume the phone is more accurate. This one sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. The miles or the trip meter isn't necessarily right. It definitely understated what I have ridden, because the GPS is showing I've been riding for like 30 miles. The trip meter only says 26, 27. The second thing I add is just a lock, a cheap lock. This is the one from my old bike. I just moved here, never used it. I don't think I need it anyway, but it's a decoration at least. The third thing I did is I bought some Velcro strips. They give me a pannier bag for free, but that bag doesn't look good and it's bulky and it looks odd to me. So I find like a small bag and put a air pump, hexa wrench, and some other small bike tools in there. I find that's actually pretty useful. It's less noticeable. I've seen people use this place to put a water bottle there. I guess you probably can. This seems like a good place to fit for a water bottle. Otherwise, you got to buy a special hook here or the cup holder in the front to add a water bottle. Another setting I made in the control is in the P19. I changed that to 0. What it does is, if it's at 1, it was at 1 before. When I change it to pedal assist 1, 2, 3, I can go up and I can go down. But once I am at 1, I cannot go back down to 0. That's actually a setting thing. If you go to P19 and change the value to 0, then if I press down again, it will change it to 0. One thing about the speed versus pedal assist, this is kind of different from the standard non-electric mechanical bike. If you have a standard mechanical bike, then the higher the gear, the higher the speed in general. But the downside is you have to pedal more. And what I noticed for this e-bike is the speed actually doesn't have a whole lot to do with the gear. You can see I'm using gear 3. The speed is actually determined by pedal assist. When pedal assist is at 1, it's about somewhere 8 to 9 miles. When pedal assist is at 2, it's like 11, 12, 13 miles, depending on the road. When pedal assist is at 3, it can go to all the way to 18 miles. I didn't even try pedal assist 4 and 5. I'm sure it's going to be at 20 miles. In one of the setting, P08, that's where you set the speed limit. What I have currently is 20 miles. I did change that to 28 miles, or the value move up to 45. It goes way too fast. It's kind of scary. It went up to 27 miles in the flat surface. It took like 20 seconds. It seems scary, so I dialed it back to 20 miles. And the difference between once you set the pedals, for example, pedal assist 1, the speed is about 8 miles. Then no matter which gear you're at, if you're at gear 3, you got to pedal certain times. If you're at gear 4, you actually need to pedal more, but the pedal assist is smaller, so the motor is less engaged. So there is a trade-off. So I assume once you're at once you move the gear to 7, you need to pedal a lot, and most of the time the motor is not engaging. So what I notice is, because 8 miles is not a lot, if I pedal a little bit, I'm at 8-9 miles, then the pedal assist, even though it's at the 1, the motor won't engage. It's not sending any current to the motor. I've been riding this bike pretty much Friday and Saturday. Each time is about 3 hours. So for such a long ride, it's non-stop. I tested the motor. The motor is it's not warm, not even warm actually. It's just room temperature. So I assume the motor is pretty good. You can see there's a lot of dust on the tire. I was just riding in the trail in the nearby town. What I noticed is the seat. I saw a lot of people complaining about the seat. The seat, I guess it's okay if you're not riding a lot. Say within an hour, it's probably fine, and after an hour, it becomes really uncomfortable. I'm gonna get a new one. It's like a gel seat. I bought one for my wife before from Amazon. It's like $25. It's way better and has shock assistant too. Oh, in terms of tire pressure, the one thing I forgot to mention is this tire, you can set the pressure anywhere between 5 to 30 psi. I inflated to about 28 for both tires. This way, the hope there is just try to save some battery. But the downside is, since I'm riding on the trail, it's very bumpy. This thing has no shock assistant. Shock absorbent, so it's quite bumpy. You can definitely feel that bump. Sometimes you hit the tree root. It seems like I'm flying in the air if I'm too fast. One thing I had a complaint about the brake pads is it's kind of inconsistent. Well, first of all, what's consistent is it always makes noise when I apply on the brakes. But the noise is mild, so it's acceptable. It's not perfect, but it's acceptable. However, sometimes when I apply the brakes, it seems like the brake pads or disc pad is no longer aligned. Then I will hear this recurrent clicking sound. Seems like it's bumping to something when the tire's spinning. And if I apply the brakes a few more times, then it's gone. It's not just to the front brakes, but it's also to the back brakes. If anyone know how to adjust this, please let me know. And also seems like the brakes, if you look at it when I apply it, it's not smooth. I was thinking I probably should add some lubricant, but I don't know where to put it. If you know where to add a lubricant, also please leave a comment. I heard a lot of people's derailleur guard, this thing got bent once shipped over. I had the same issue, but it's no big deal. You just pull it, bend it out. You can use hands to do that. It doesn't require a whole lot of effort. In terms of the gear change, I can try gear 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. But not at 1. At 1, probably it should be adjusted, but I don't know where. It's making a lot of noise there, so it's not properly aligned. I saw there's a video somewhere. It's maybe the screw here. There's a plus and a minus where you can adjust the derailleur. But I don't know whether if I adjusted that's going to mess up other settings. For now, to me, it seems like I probably won't use gear 1 anyway. 2, it's pretty rare. I live in a pretty much flat area. The most gear I will use is probably just the 3, 4, and the 5 the most. So it's not a big issue for me. there's a lot of dirt. I assume I'm not supposed to wash this with water. If there's some kind of bike clean detergent, that can be used to clean up the dust, also please let me know. Thanks. The other issue is this pedal. It's interesting. The manual says when you got it, you're supposed to tighten it here to give you a wrench. I did, but somehow when I was riding the bike, this thing fell again. So I have to tighten it again. Hopefully it works this time. In terms of actual battery or the range of the battery, so yesterday I rode 30 miles. Today is about 25 miles. I charged a little bit. Yesterday, after 30 miles of riding, it's a mix between pedal assisted 1, 2, some throttle, a little bit of 3. That's just for testing. After 30 miles, I still have about, I'll say 30% left. It's turned off. Today I rode about 25 miles, and it has the battery still has like a 50% capacity in there. What I find is the best way to see the battery life is once you press mode 3 times, it will say voltage 47.6. In the setting, the default is 41.5. So when my bike is fully charged, it's about 54 volts. And as you use the battery, the voltage actually will decline slowly. Once it drops below 41.5, the motor won't engage. You get error code. I think it's E003. And if you press it one more time, this is a current because the motor is not doing anything. The current is 0. When I'm doing pedal assist, in the trail, it's in general 3 to 4 current. That translates to about 200 watts. If I do that continuously, the battery is 500 watt hours. It's supposed to last 2.5 hours because I'm not pedaling all the time, so it can easily last 4 or 5 hours if all you can need is pedal assist 1, and you can probably go 50 miles. The other thing about the energy bar indicator is it's not a constant. It varies. If you drain a lot of current to the motor, say if mine is set at 20 amps, if I'm draining 20 amps out of a battery, the bar will go down very fast. And once I stop, it will recover 1 or 2 bars, which make it unstable. I guess that's true for a lot of the batteries. But this is probably too much, in my opinion. Speaking of the battery, they recommend you to charge the battery overnight and to use it for second day. But the way the battery is constructed, most of these batteries use what's so-called 18650 battery cells. It's like 3.7 volts, 2.5 amp hour battery. That's the same battery used in Tesla cars and many other your laptop and many other electronics. Standard lithium battery. The issue with that battery is to make a battery pack. You get to 48 volts. You got to sequentially connect, say, 13 or 14 of them together. But in order to get the current to 20 amps, you also need to parallel connect some of the battery together, because the battery, once it's parallel connected, it creates a closed circuit. So whether you use it or not, the battery is draining itself, because the way it works is as long you got to have, say, 2 battery parallel connected, positive to positive. As long as 2 battery do not have the same voltage, the battery with a higher voltage will leak electricity into the lower one, and in theory, this is happening regardless. And that's why they want you to they want to use a good quality battery, so the difference between the battery voltage is small, so the draining becomes a very small number.